on the other side of it. Okay. Hello. Welcome to Finals Day of the 2020 David C. Johnson Memorial Squash Doubles Tournament. We are so glad to have you with us. We've got a great match today. We've got the number 1 seeds taking on the number 2 seeds in the finals to determine who the 2020 champion will be. My name is Will Carlin. I've been your host all week for the tournament. I'm joined once again by Rob Dinnerman, who's been with me for many of the matches so far. We will be taking you through this match as we go along. But first, let me introduce Rob. Rob, as many of you know, is a writer of squash and author of 5 squash books, or 6 squash books, including The Sheriff of Squash, which is about Sharif Khan, that just came out last year. And he played both on the WPSA Hardball Tour, and he's been played in this tournament, no less. So welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much. This should be a really, really great afternoon. These are the 2 teams that have played the best of anybody else, and it's great that they're playing each other in the final.
Well, why don't we tell you a little bit about who the 2 teams are. Our number 1 seeds are Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold. They've gotten here by beating 3 interesting teams. First, in the first round, they beat Reed Andressen and Jeff Osborne 3-love. They beat Clinton Liu and Omar El-Kashef 3-2 in a very exciting match that it took them a while to get going. They were down 2-1 in that match. And then they beat Michael Ferreira and Will Hardigan in a 3-love score that I think you and I would agree was much, much closer than the 3-love score line would indicate.
Absolutely, especially in view of the fact that the first game, Hardigan and Ferreira were ahead 14-11 and had 4 game points and lost the game on a controversial no-let call.
Yep, so that first game wound up being decisive, as often happens. Their opponents are the number 2 seeds, James Stout and Ivan Badan. They played Alex Dominic and Peter Kelly in the first round, and they won 3-love. They played Graham Bassett and Ahmed Anvari, and they won 3-1. And then yesterday they played Eric Bedell and Chris Callis in a very, very high-quality match that was also a 3-1 scoreline. I think one of the things you said from early on in the week, Rob, was that Stout and Badan were, at least at the beginning of the tournament, they were the team that was really hot. They were really playing well. Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold, by contrast, took a couple matches to work their way into this tournament, but boy, did they look good yesterday.
Yesterday was that they took a huge step yesterday. They struggled a little bit in the first, especially in the quarterfinal. They kind of caught their stride in the middle of the 4th game of that match, in which they were down 2-1 to Clinton Liu and Omar El-Kashef, and they certainly continued through yesterday. They played extremely well.
And so let's just tell you a little about some of these guys. So Zach Alexander, he is the number 8 ranked player in the SDA right now. He has won 26 PSA singles titles, which is really, I'm sort of staggered by that number because, as you know, I introduce a lot of PSA players onto court, and 26 is a big number. It's a big number. He was also a Commonwealth Games gold medalist in doubles, so he has played at the highest levels, and not incidentally, he is a defending champion here. Not with Scott Arnold, but he played last year with Chris Callis, and this year Chris was scheduled to play with Manik Mahor, which is why Zach and he were not a team. But Manik then got hurt, so the whole sort of thing got a little bit mixed up. But anyways, Scott Arnold, who is Zach's partner, is number 4 in the SDA rankings. And as befits that ranking, he is an incredibly accomplished player.
Absolutely. He's the reigning Kellner Cup champion with John Russell. He's won a number of tournaments with different partners, and he is a tremendous force on the right wall.
I think one of the things we saw yesterday was he really came into his own yesterday as well. Maybe came into his own is a little bit too strong, but he played incredibly well yesterday.
He did.
He actually was really the decisive force in at least 1 or 2 of the games yesterday.
Yeah.
Their opponents, James Stout is number 6 on the SDA rankings, and he has a lot of racket experience, particularly in the game of rackets, where he was the world singles champion and is the reigning world doubles champion. He also has been the U.S. Open court tennis champion, and he has won many singles or doubles titles in hardball squash as well. What do you want to say about James, other than he is really good with the racket?
He's definitely that, and the interesting thing about him and his partner Ivan Badan, who he's playing with today, is that this is the 3rd tournament that they played with each other. In each case, it was by accident because their regular partner was not available, and they won each of the first 2 tournaments that they played together.
So they're undefeated as a team.
They're undefeated as a team. One of them was in 2018, one of them was in 2019, and they're hoping to have this one be in 2020.
That's kind of an amazing stat there.
Right.
Well, you mentioned his partner, so let's talk about him as well. Ivan Badan is number 7 on the PSA or on the SDA Tour, and he is from Switzerland. He was actually the Swiss national singles champion, and he was also a member of the Trinity College team where during the streak where they won a whole slew of national titles, he was there for 4 in a row, and he has since gone on and become a really accomplished doubles player. He's won a ton of tournaments.
Yeah, and he and Manik Mathur were with the SDA doubles team of the year in 2016. The interesting thing about Zach is that he won this, as you mentioned, with Chris Callis last year. That was the first time they ever were partners, and this is the first tournament that he and Scott Arnold have ever been partners. So he's sort of hoping that that the same phenomenon will hold true this time around as well.
So we've got an amazing group of 4 very accomplished players. It looks like we are about to get underway. All of them are ranked in the top 10 in the SDA rankings, and that means that this should be a very high quality match. So Rob, let me put you on the spot. I know you said to me before we went on air that you didn't really know who you thought was going to win, but it's time for you to make a prediction. So who are you predicting?
I said I felt all weekend that Stout and Badan they just have the look of this being their year. They've never neither of them has ever won this tournament. In the case of Ivan, he's played in it well over a dozen years. He's been a finalist a couple of times. The only player on the court here who ever has won is Zach Alexander, who won with Chris Callis last year. So everybody's hungry to win this championship.
So will we have one half of a repeat champion, or will we have new champions?
James Stout and Ivan Badan. Seats in the black from Australia, Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold.
The crowd is certainly into this match. They've already made that clear.
Best of 5 games with all.
And just to, in case you couldn't hear the referee completely clearly, Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold are the team in black, and they are both from Australia. And James Stout and Ivan Badan are the team in white with gray shorts. Stout is on the left, Badan is on the right, and Zach Alexander, who's about to hit the ball now, is on the left. And Scott Arnold with the white headband is on the right. Something we saw yesterday with Scott was that he was really playing far up in the court. And I think that'll be something to watch for today, whether he is able to hold such a forward position against Ivan. A good long first point to get all the teams, all the players sort of ready to go. Nice shot.
One love.
Did it hit the team? Hit the tin? Nope. No, it was a winner. So it was a nice backhand winner by Zach Alexander. There's a carry, I think, that Stout caught on himself.
Yes, let.
He
Hit him, I think, yep.
his racket, I think, maybe on the way up. So they're playing let. 2-love in the early stages for the #1 seeds, and that's a winning return of serve. A reverse
out,
corner
1-2.
return of serve by James Stout. 1-2. Just thinking about that
1-3.
winning return of serve by James, one of the things that Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold may have wanted to be aware of was yesterday James hit a couple of unbelievable return of serves, including maybe the most important one of the match at game ball.
Side out,
in
4-1.
the third game yesterday, where it was not a reverse corner return
Second
of serve.
serve.
It was a cross court straight into the sidewall floor neck. And really a spectacular shot because, as you said, it dead rolled.
The best shot of the tournament, probably, especially in light of how important a circumstance that was. That third game was really the crucial game of the match in retrospect.
4-1.
So one thing I would be thinking about is just I should be careful serving
Yes,
to James.
for sure.
And on the point where he hit a return of serve winner already, it was not a good serve. So.
Nope.
This is an error right into the top of the tin by Zach. I feel, Rob, like these first 6 or 7 points here are a little bit cautious by both teams.
Absolutely, and I'm surprised at how much Zach has been lobbing cross court over Ivan. He's been doing that in most of his swings as opposed to doing something more aggressive. They may just want to force Ivan back and then maybe think they can hurt him from there. But Zach usually doesn't lob as often as he's done so far this game.
Yep,
There's another one.
Yep.
Yes, let. 4-2.
Well, there's no question that these four gentlemen are good squash thinkers, and for sure they've come out with a strategy. You can hear them even talking or see them chatting right there as well. So whatever Zach is doing, it's not accidental. You're right, he's really taking the pace off and going cross court a lot.
Yeah. Side out, 3-4.
Cut the 10 on that one.
There it is again.
Down.
It's also they want to make James play the ball on his backhand deep in the court, and that's why they're doing that, because they're sort of overhitting that lob a little bit.
So you think they want James to go and cover it back there?
Yes, on his backhand. Yeah, I think they think that he can't hurt them from back there, and they can maybe have a ball that they can attack.
Well, it's definitely a team strategy because even Scott is doing it as well.
Nice overhead there.
The problem is if you
4-5.
don't hit those lobs well, it winds up being a setup,
Yeah.
which is what we just saw.
And you've got to be a little careful with the lob because of the hanging beam.
So Ivan was trying to get into the lobbing game there, but he didn't hit it quite as well as. I will say this: Zach has been hitting those lobs very well. Those cross-court lobs.
Play by Stout.
Wow, nice shot by Zach. He's coming up and he's hitting, on his forehand. He's hitting a slightly cross-court little drop shot nick into his left wall. So 6-4 early in the first game of the finals of the 2020 David C. Johnson Memorial Squash Tournament. We've got our number 1 seeds against the number 2 seeds. The number 1 seeds are in black. The number 2 seeds are in white. And it's definitely been a strategic opening, not a slam bang affair at all. These players can all hit it hard, and we have not really seen almost any of that so far in this point. Another great shot by Zach. This time it's a roll corner off his backhand into his left wall. And they've got a 2-point lead now, 7-5. These are really interesting points, Rob. There's a lot of thought going into these points.
Yep, and a lot of lobbing too to establish position.
That's a great shot. One of the hidden, I think, benefits of lobbing is that when you decide to actually hit hard, it's a big contrast. Whereas if you are hitting hard all the time, it's actually, particularly athletes at this level, they can get grooved on it, and it's not as effective as it may seem like it would be, or it would be against lesser players.
No, Zach, left.
These guys all get used to it, but the way to counteract that is by having different paces.
And Zach definitely wrong-footed James on that. James was expecting something short or high, and instead Zach crushed it down the rail.
What's interesting to me is it seems like this was a strategy that Zach and Scott really had, but James and Ivan are sort of falling. I don't know if they're falling into it, but they're going along with it.
They are.
And I don't know that I'm not positive that was actually their strategy. It's almost like they've been maybe sucked into it a little bit.
Yes, and it's, right now they're down 5-9 to 9-5 in this game. You're right. They have kind of cooperated that way.
These are very good lobs, though. Yeah. Rob mentioned that there is a beam, and we've talked about it throughout the weekend, but hitting lobs on this court effectively is very tricky.
Good shot by James there. Yeah, well, Zach's been putting them in good places.
6-9.
He's been putting it too high for Ivan to comfortably volley, and that means James has to circle back.
Or Ivan has to go back.
Not up.
I think
hit the camera, I think.
Yeah. Zach looked surprised that it was called down, but A, I don't think made the front wall, and B, hit the camera, so it wasn't much of a question.
caught that, Nick,
You
the last 2 rounds quite a bit.
Never mind.
Scott has.
It's interesting. During that point, James looked at his racket,
James
realized
Wright,
it was broken,
7-10.
and just changed his racket
Wow.
there. Now, strictly speaking, they don't have to allow him to hit the ball at all here. You are responsible for your own equipment, but it's a sign of good sportsmanship that they just threw the ball over to him, see if he wanted to hit it. I think they all want everybody to be playing their best. They don't want to take advantage of any technicalities like that. Here's again. Wow, that is a seriously powerful shot by Scott Arnold, hitting
Side out,
a
11-7.
very, very,
Wow.
very short reverse corner. Super hard, super
Right.
low.
And it's a very similar swing to what he's hit his deep cross court on. I mean, that was a really great shot.
Deceptive shot, yeah.
– 12-7.
It's a
Zach.
very nice cut off half volley by Zach Alexander, hitting a forehand drop shot into the right hand corner, giving them a 5-point lead near the ending of this first game.
Nice shot.
It's now 13-7 with another good drop shot by
13-7.
Zach.
Again on his forehand.
Well, it's clear they had a strategy, and I would say so far this strategy is working beautifully for them.
Yes, Slat.
So
13-7.
They're just,
Right
when
side.
you look at what they're doing, Stout and Badan just haven't had a lot of opportunities to be offensive.
that's right.
And it's taking, these points are long, but the opportunities have definitely come to Zach and Scott.
And they've done a very good job of converting them.
Yeah.
Almost no unforced tins on open balls. Good scrambling by both teams at this point.
I almost feel like this is, I'm being reminded of the
14-7
nursery
game
rhyme,
ball.
"Welcome to my web," said the spider. I mean, I feel like Zach and Scott have really come out here with a game plan, and they have just absolutely gotten James and Yvonne to play right into their game plan.
And to end up with a
Game.
perfect
End
three-ball
up with a
nick.
perfect
15-7,
3-ball
one
by
Oh, hey,
Scott. I mean, look at that.
off his shoe
Beautiful.
tops. That was not an easy angle that he was hitting that ball from.
So
Wow.
this, Rob, I don't know about you, but this was not the game I was expecting.
Not at all, and I think there's a very good chance it won't continue along this way. I think that Yvonne and James are going to make an adjustment of some sort going into the second game.
Well, just as we flip through the highlights here, I think you're going to see that the great majority of the winners have come from the team in black. You'll see that there are some occasionally good shots from the team in white, but almost in this highlight package, we're going to see all of them,
Right.
as opposed to just a selection of the team in black's winning shots. But they were just, Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold were very patient, looking for opportunities. And as you said, when they got their opportunities, they took them. And the team in white just sort of played into their strategy a little bit. Didn't have a ton of opportunities. They did hit some good winners, but they were sort of having to create them rather than let them evolve through the point.
Or rather than setting them up with any kind of combination of shots. Zach's cross-court lobbing of Yvonne has definitely pushed Stout and Yvonne back.
So your theory there was that it was partly to get Stout to play with his backhand, but I almost also wonder if they thought, you know, Ivan is not going to hurt us with balls over his head.
Although he had a number of frontside nick winners on that swing yesterday. So I mean, he can do harm from there, but they're putting it way over his head. And
yeah, they're putting it way over.
He's
That's
having
the
a very
difference.
tough swing.
It's the quality of the lobs.
Absolutely.
The lobs are getting over him
Yeah.
and dropping into that back corner,
Exactly.
forcing either him to retreat or, as you said, for Stout to come over and cover for him.
Right.
Very interesting strategy. I mean, that was really kind of fun strategically to watch.
It is, and I'm surprised. I honestly thought that Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold were just going to come over and try to overpower them.
And they did the exact opposite.
That's
of that.
true.
They
And
did
very
the exact
effectively
opposite. Of that. So the question is, are we going to see more of the same? Are we, it's a winning strategy, so
Yeah, just keep him
are they going to
as
try
far
to
this
keep
way,
it?
as far that way as they
And can James and Ivan, who are they know what they're doing,
Yes.
can they come up with a strategy to counter it and sort of to start to take advantage of what worked
All right, Dennis.
against them in the first game and to turn it into something for them?
Which is what they were able to do after losing the second game of their match against Chris Callis and Eric Bedell yesterday.
And let's talk about that for a second, just because throughout the weekend
Yeah.
we've seen
Second time. Much better.
great adjustments by almost every team after the first game.
Right.
So when there has been a strategic
got all my
or one
fingers.
team has come out
Forget
hot,
it.
throughout the entire weekend we've seen teams adjust, particularly
Okay.
favored teams or a seeded team,
Alexander
adjust
Arnold,
very
one
well
game
to a
left.
strategy.
And that's especially been true of Stout and of James and Yvonne.
Yep.
They've
So we'll
answered
see.
every challenge they've met this weekend, but this is a big challenge, and it's in their face right now.
All right, game 2 is underway. The number 1 seeds won the first game convincingly. That's Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold. Their opponents are the number 2 seeds, James Stout and Yvonne Badan. And they've got their work cut out for them. Well, it looks like the strategy is, at least in this first point,
Same thing.
they are continuing it. And so the question now, I'm actually kind of glad they are continuing, because I really want to see if Stout and Badan are going to come up with something to try and counter it.
No let. One left.
That's an interesting call. It looked to me like he had
I
actually
thought-
covered that,
Yeah, I think he had a swing at it.
but not a lot of argument. He did say really, but then everyone took their position, so playing let. It's another good lob.
Yes, let.
Wow.
Oh boy, that looked like a stroke to me.
No safety strokes. Only safety lets.
That's interesting. That's Graham
what?
Bassett who's refereeing, and he said no safety strokes, just safety lets. But to me, that seemed kind of like the definition of a stroke. Somebody hit the ball right back at himself and prevented the other person from having to play on it. That's a terrific shot.
1-all.
That was an error.
Ball's good.
I think that's the first time
Side
Zach
out,
has shot
2-1.
from the back wall, and he hit it beautifully. And Scott now followed with a great shallow rail, so they're serving a 2-1.
Another good lob.
Yep. When James was approaching that ball, Scott actually moved up, almost daring him to pass him.
Yeah, Scott's still taking a very forward position here. It's been easier a little bit with the idea of these lobs because it's forcing Yvonne into the back of the court.
Look where he is. He's 4.5 feet up.
Let.
Good call.
2-1.
Yep. Nice shot.
Nice shot.
Little roll corner by Yvonne.
Right in between Scott and Zach. No man's land.
Down. 3-2.
Oh, wow.
Great play by Zach.
You know, one of the things
4-2.
that you're really seeing here is how this strategy by Zach and Scott, how far up it's allowing
left
them
side.
both to play.
Especially Scott. He's
Well,
even further up.
Even Zach there, that passing shot worked because Zach was almost himself, almost dead even right here. Watch, boom. He's 4.5, 5 feet in front of the
He
tee
is.
there.
Yep.
And that shot, you know, that's why that was a winner. Well, we wondered if they were going to keep to it. They're keeping to it, Rob.
They certainly are. Great shot by Stout.
Nice shot by Stout.
Dead Nick.
Look at that.
That's a great shot.
First he had to get
Side
there.
out. 3-4.
He got there fairly comfortably.
Wide angle. He was almost at his left side wall when he steered that all the way across the court.
Down. 4-all.
Rare 10 by Scott.
So this is good that Stout and Badan have sort of hung in here at the beginning of this game. That's a very tight ball. Good retrieve.
No let.
Ooh.
5-4.
I think Zach had a swing at that one.
It's a couple of no-lets that have surprised me. Nice
Good by
shot.
Scott.
Again, look where he is. Almost 4.5
Oh.
feet in front of the tee there. In
5
front of
all.
the red line
James
anyway.
left.
Whoa.
They've got to believe that there's something. You can tell, Yvonne, now, as he just turned there, there's a little bit of frustration starting to set in here.
And he's having to reach way over his head for some of these.
Reaching way over his head. He's not been able to hit a lot of shots that he wants to, although that's a very nice
6-5.
cross-court angle. But he's got to just make sure he stays in here. He's done it very well the second game. I mean, they are right in here with them.
First serve.
But this is one where if you're just constantly playing balls above your head and above your head and above your head and above your head, it can get a little bit frustrating.
And a little bit tiring.
And tiring. You're not wrong. Well, he's not. It's not just the balls above his head. He's going up and back a lot because they keep making him have to go back to the back wall.
That's right.
Now he's starting to let James just cover a bunch of them.
Like that one.
But that's also opening up the court for. That hit the beam, I believe. Zach tried to hit that
7-5.
lob.
Yvonne hits two. The last 2 points have been on cross courts Yvonne's hit that Zach couldn't handle. But in each case, that was much lower on his body than where he's been having to reach up for his volleys.
Both teams having mini conferences there in between the point. That's a great get off the back wall by James Stout.
After he got past initially.
Did it wind up being a winner?
No.
8-5.
No, it hit the 10.
Okay, that was would have been too crazy a shot. So now it's going to be interesting to see whether Alexander and Arnold keep with their strategy because they're now behind in this game.
And it's the first time they've been behind the whole match.
It's been a nice adjustment and patience, to be fair, by Yvonne. He's had to be very patient here.
Straight drop.
And one of the adjustments, I think it's been clear that what they've done is they've said, okay, James, you're going to go get those balls. And I'm not going to keep going up and back. I'm going to hold my front position.
Which he
And
did.
that's the way to counter this. And it's, it means that James has to do a lot of running. But he's probably, he's as fit as anybody on the tour.
Yep.
And
it put Yvonne in a spot where he could hit the winner on that last play.
yes.
He would not have been able to do that if he
And
wasn't
watch,
as far.
and again
10-5.
there. So that's the counter. The counter is to just not allow Yvonne to have to give up his front position. Now the counter to the counter would be for Zach and Scott, when they get James to cover for him, is to quickly hit a ball to the front left corner.
But he's very quick at getting back.
Yep. And you can see that.
Side out, 6-10.
if you watch on a ball, for the spectators out there, watch when Zach and Scott hit a ball that's over Yvonne's head into the back right corner. And if James goes to get it, watch how fast he recovers back to a position after he's hit the ball. So right here, watch how fast he quickly gets up. Boom.
That's a great play by
7-10.
Scott. First the get itself on a reverse hit from behind him at a sharp angle, and then angling it even more sharply in the reverse on his own.
Spectacular.
Great shot there.
7-11.
The fact that Yvonne has been able to hold his front position here much better in this game, I think that's really the difference between the first game and this game.
It has been.
We saw almost no winners from him in the first game, and we've seen a bunch now in this game. And now Stout's starting to feel it too. So
Side out.
throughout
12-7.
this tournament, we've seen a team that has lost the first game adjust really well, and we're seeing it here again. Stout and Badan are showing that, yep, okay, we understood your strategy. We figured out a way to combat it.
Oh, nice shot.
Watch how far up he is again. He's, what, almost
12-8.
5 feet in front of the red line. Beautiful cross-court nick by Scott Arnold. It's a good get. He had a long way to go to get that ball. It's going to be a let.
Yes, let. You shape first, so he doesn't know to stop.
I think Zach wanted a stroke on that.
I think
the
he
problem
did.
is you shape first and then you backed up. Yes, let. 12-8.
It's true. He
James
shaped on
left.
the backhand and then changed his
Yeah,
mind.
he did.
No let.
Oh boy, I think Scott would have gotten
13-8.
there. They've gotten a couple of calls this game too.
That one I felt better about, actually. That was a very good shot. He might have gotten it. It was a close call. It's a good defensive lob by Yvonne there. But look, they are getting Yvonne to go up and back now. Nice recovery by Stout. Good defense. This is a great point, Rob. Very all court.
Nice shot.
Beautiful shot by Zach. Taking the ball on his forehand,
Right into the nick.
hitting a nice little drop shot nick.
Yeah,
Side out. 9-13.
yeah, it's 13. Stout was on everything else. That had some nicks to be a winner.
There's a conference going on in the back.
Great nick by Yvonne.
It's a very nice, as he's moving back to, almost falling back to hit that shot.
9-14,
That's not
game
an
ball.
easy shot to pull off.
Yes, slat. 9-14.
Yep, that's a definite
Yep,
let.
good call.
Oh, nice shot.
Shot. That's got.
10-14.
Part of their strategy is to get Yvonne to have to move up and back a lot. You know, in the long term, this could be attritional. Having said that, this is a great adjustment by Stout and Badan. I think it looks like they're going to win the second game.
Absolutely. And Scott and Badan are having a nice little interchange along the front right also on some of the short points, short front court points. It's been kind of a draw. Don't get sloppy here.
Oh, that's what I was just thinking. Is
11-14.
14-9 to 11. It's not desperation times, but you do want to. They've played so well here to level this match, but they actually have to level it.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Another 10. Ooh. He had
12,
And
shot.
to
14.
be honest, that was a little casual the way he hit that. It
Yeah.
was not. It was not the way he normally.
serve.
I feel a little bit like Stout and Badan may have felt like, okay, we did it,
Yeah.
and you know, we've all learned the lesson. All of us who play this game have at some point learned a lesson that you have to do it all the way through the game.
Especially in doubles, which can be very streaky sometimes.
Nice
Great play
catch.
by Stout.
Yep.
Keep the point alive.
That's a great shot.
Game.
Wow, that's a
15-12. One off.
Off the back wall, forehand drive winner, catching the nick on the sidewall on the floor on the right side by Badan, who's been the person who has really been the focal point of this match, I would say.
Yes,
They've
he
been
has.
trying
He
to
has.
make him go back or recover, and in this game, the second game, his ability to stay up front, to actually hit a lot of shots that he didn't hit any really in the first game, and we're going to see a bunch of winners here on this. Look at this. This is the third winner in a row in the highlight package. Oh, actually, Scott got that one. But Badan, I think, really was the difference. What's your analysis, Rob?
Absolutely, and for him to have hit that shot after tinning the last 2 points.
Right.
It took a little bit of courage to go that low
On
from up the
game
back
ball.
wall. Yes, on game ball,
Yep.
to avoid making it 13-14, which would have been really nervous time.
Yeah,
So, that was
it really would. 14-9, right? It was 14-9. I believe,
that was
yeah.
a great recovery by Badan on that point after what had happened just before.
So, it seems like, just to recap, the number one seed, Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold, came out in the first game with a strategy that was very clear. It was easy to see. It was to lob the ball into the back right corner at all costs.
Over Badan's head.
Over Badan's head if possible, but make him go back there. Just don't let him hit any volleys, and to try and get it over his head into that back corner.
Right.
The adjustment came, it seemed to me, in the second game when James Stout and Badan decided that James would cover those balls.
Yep.
And allow Badan to stay up front as much as humanly possible.
Right, and that's partly because James is very good at getting back into position when he's been forced out of it, and partly because he had some very good defensive plays from back there to keep Scott and Zach from having something to attack.
And what it also did was it meant that Ivan suddenly got an opportunity to hit some winners.
Oh, that
in
was
the
the
first
key.
game.
Yeah.
He had not really been
Right.
able to do that.
Exactly.
And, so give him a lot of credit because it's hard when you're getting so many balls and clearly they have a strategy that's again something there to stay patient, to stay calm, to get the balls back, and then to look for the opportunities and be able to pounce.
Right.
Very nice adjustment by Stout and Badan. Now, if you are Alexander and Arnold, are you thinking we're going to keep doing this and hope for the attritional wear down of the other team because they're going to have to go up and back, or are you thinking, okay, time for a new strategy?
I don't think they're going to abandon their initial strategy.
You think it's going to stay?
At least at the beginning of this game.
Interesting.
I think they think that over the course of the match, it'll eventually break Badan down at least enough for them to be able to exploit them.
And do you, Rob Dinnerman, agree with that strategy? Do you think it will wear them down in the end?
I think it's worth. I think that's what they. I think it's worth them doing that at the beginning of this game, at the very least through the first part of this game,
To see.
right? With the option that they'll make some sort of a change if they feel they have to.
Well, the danger is, of course, that now Stout and Badan they've got to be more confident. They actually hit a whole bunch of great winners. Both, and James hit a bunch of winners too in that game.
Yeah, but they had to hit some great winners.
They did.
This is a very good retrieving team they're playing.
All right, we are at 1-all.
And they are
Love
loving
all.
them.
Number 1 and 2 seeds in the finals of the David C. Johnson Memorial Squash Doubles Tournament, the 2020 edition. I'm Will Carlin. I'm here with Rob Dinnerman, and we are settling in for what looks like to be a very good final. It's been a very strategic final so far in the opening point of the third game.
Almost everything high at this point.
By both teams.
Yep.
Yes, let. Love all.
Well, if we are seeing whether or not they're going to keep to the strategy so far, at least on point number 1, Zach and Scott look like they still want to keep it high and deep. Oh, they're still playing. I thought
Great play by
James
Stout
was going to at
his
least call
knees.
left, but he did not.
Nope.
Off his knees. Wow. Wow, that's a great lob. It's just a great lob, Rob.
Yeah, it is, but he had a chance to go short and decided not to.
It's another one. They are getting them to sort of have to cover short and then retreat back. Look at that. He just
Great lob.
Well, I don't know if the fans want a little bit more
Side out,
slam
one
bang
left.
here, but in terms of really seeing very thoughtful squash doubles, this is it. I mean, these two teams are really trying to sort this out and to think through exactly what they're doing. This is very thoughtful squash here. When you have quick and slam bang action winners, I think it gets the
1-all.
crowd more jazzed and more involved. But if you were a fan of really thinking through a strategy, this is a fascinating match to watch.
Right. But
maybe the most fascinating match of the tournament so far, to be quite honest.
Although you can sense a little impatience from the crowd. They're just a little bit like you feel they're sort of waiting for something more dynamic to happen. Good play by Scott there. Almost no 3-walls this match, by the way.
Yeah, you're right. There was a big one by Scott Arnold at the end of the first game that just rolled.
Yeah, but that was a game point, and it was sort of...
Yep.
They must just respect the degree to which these guys can cover the front wall.
Wow, that's a very nice shot by Ivan. This ball is right on the side wall, and he flicks it off the side wall and is able to hit a cross-court drop shot for a winner that really was a winner because nobody saw it coming.
Yeah, he did that with his fingers.
It's a beautiful shot.
Second serve. Thank you.
Shot by Stout.
Very nice cross-court drop shot on a backhand into his left wall. Remember that Stout is left-handed. Wow, that's a nice shot.
Hit several of those now this game.
Big cross-court overhead by Scott Arnold, hitting it off his forehand into the opposite wall, front wall, side wall. Nick, well done. Partly because he was so far up in the court, as has been a constant refrain of ours about his positioning.
Court is now. Good call.
3-all.
Well, these points, Rob, at 1-all, 3-all. I know it's early in this third game, but these are I think fairly important points.
Absolutely. And still probing points a little bit. They're still sort of looking for various openings.
That's a nice shot. That's partly because Badan has a nice position there. You know, it's on his racket. He's been able to stay up.
Great flick volley. Flick lob.
Look, I mean, just look at how much scrambling that lob has caused them to have here. And again, these lobs are, I know the lobs maybe not the most exciting shot, but these are things of, you know, relative beauty here. And boy, they are really, I mean, this is. And it paid off at an attritional point, you know, just
Side
getting
out, 4-all.
Okay.
Badan and Stout to, you know, have to cover up and back, up and back, up and back, and that's just an error off the back wall. I mean, you know, a relatively, compared to some of the shots they've been hitting, a relatively tame error.
Yeah, that looked like an impatient swing also. He was not in good position to try to hit a shot that ambitious.
But you've made the point a few times that Zach Alexander, who's playing on the left wall up there, has had a number of opportunities where he could do something else, and he's chosen to hit the lob instead.
Great cover by Scott.
Well, I mean, just watch this beautiful cross court.
Wow.
Nobody's home.
5-4.
The thing that's interesting about this strategy, they've taken advantage of that kind of scramble situation fairly well. So, Rob, you were right. They're sticking with it.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
And it was clear in the first game that it paid off. This is a very nice overhead. I wouldn't really call it an overhead slam into the neck. No. It was an overhead touch into the cross-court neck.
That's what made it so effective, was that it didn't look like it looked like an innocuous swing.
It looked casual, yeah. Now, did we just break a ball?
Oh boy, if we did, that's not going to count.
Hey, Jeff, down here.
That looks like a broken ball,
Hey,
doesn't it? The way they're swinging at it?
I guess I didn't see them throw it up or anything, but maybe we were watching the replay.
Now let's see what happened here. Okay, Scott pointed to Zach and said, "Look at the ball."
Yeah.
When that ball bounced. If so, it's going to be six. It's not going to. It's going to be 6-5, isn't it? That point's not going to count.
Right, the point's not going to count, so it'll stay at 5-all, right?
I thought they were up 6-5. Maybe I'm wrong. 5-5. Okay.
Here you go.
Well, it'll be interesting to see with the new ball whether Zach Alexander's touch on that lob remains as good as it's been, because that touch, that shot, in combination with Scott Arnold just standing 5 feet in front of the red line, has really been the thing that has kept us going.
5-4.
5-4. All right, here we go. 5-4.
There we go. There you go.
Wow.
Shot by Yvonne.
This is a super powerful drive down the wall.
Right.
Nice lob by Scott there, too. Wow. Just a great reverse
6-5.
corner. I mean, he's hitting a volley reverse corner from really about 8 feet from the front wall.
While he was moving to the front wall.
While he was moving to the front wall, he's hitting a volley reverse corner. That's really kind of a spectacular shot.
You have to sit that down, too, because if it reaches the third wall, the right side's wide open.
flat. 6-5.
It's one of the first times that Zach has pounded across court there.
Yep. A little bit of good fortune, I think. A great reaction by Ivan because Scott had crushed that ball.
Unfortunately, we don't have a replay on that, folks, but that was a very exciting shot. Really well done by Ivan Badan.
Just an instinctive reflex volley, half volley.
Another good shot.
7-6.
Well, we said the early part of this game was critical. We're now in the mid part of the game, and it's still anybody's game here. And this third game, you've got to believe, is absolutely critical to whoever's going to win this match. Wow.
Zach under a little pressure there.
That was an attempted reverse corner that was into the floor.
And Ivan was there even if it was up.
Yep.
They've outplayed them the last couple of points.
This has been a way to hang in there by Stout and Badan, and it's paid off. Their patience has paid off. They're up by 2 in this critical third game, 8-6.
Great play by Stout.
Scott looks like he's trying to hit it harder, harder, and harder.
Wow, great series of points by Badan. Snuck in a reverse corner from behind Scott.
It's really a nice shot. And, you know, Zach and Scott have been so careful not to play at a high pace, and there they go. They play 1 point where Scott's banging the ball and they lose it. I wonder, or I suspect perhaps they're going to go back to, nope.
Scott might be getting impatient. Oh boy.
That's interesting.
Racket error here.
We were at 6-all, and Zach and Scott had really had a strategy that's been effective, and it looked like maybe they are the ones who got impatient with their own strategy because they've gone away from it a little bit here and made a couple of errors and allowed Ivan really to hit a couple of very good shots. off the back wall, very short in the court.
11-6, left side.
Now Zach and Scott are having a conference in the back.
As well as
11-6.
Yvonne's played offensively this game, they won a number of points because of some incredible defense by Stout.
Yes.
He made some great gets at the front left on that point to keep that point
Left side.
alive. So
11-6.
Stout eventually, it says Yvonne eventually hit the winner.
Here's a 10.
Yep.
12-6.
That was definitely an impatient swing.
That was.
This game got getting
Down,
away from
second
them.
serve.
This is a very impressive performance by Stout and Badan, who may have just wrested control of this match. Yvonne thought this point was over. He thought there was a double hit or something.
We thought everything was clean up here. All three of us thought it was good. Unless you guys want to do something down there, we got to play through. That would be second man, left side, James, 12-7.
That's actually not the shot.
Yeah.
The shot was much earlier in the rally that they thought Scott did not pick up cleanly. Yvonne stopped. Well, that's one way to, you think you got a bad call, let me just hit a winner.
And that was pretty close to that swing. He hit a winner on the play when the ball was broken.
That's right.
Kind of a casual
kind of
looking
similar,
swing.
yes.
Side out, 8-13.
That's an error by Badan, and that one looked like a little bit of a tired error. In the second game, they had a big lead, and it started to get away from them as they got to 14. So let's see if Stout and Badan can see this one through. It would be a very impressive performance to get a 2-1 lead, but they aren't there yet. They need to put this game away. Well, Zach is now back to where he was before, where he was really lobbing it. They got away from it, you know. This comeback by taking control by
Scott.
James and Yvonne has really
Left side.
come partly
Left side,
because Zach
9-13.
and Scott didn't hit as many lobs as they had been. And there they just got a winner because the lob set up a very hard shot. It's 13-9. It seems like Stout and Badan, they've really been in control of this third game, but they've got to see it through. It's not going to be just by hitting it hard, which seems to be their strategy right now.
Down.
They've got to be careful. This is a good
10-13.
comeback by Zach and Scott. It looked like this game was gone at 12-6, and now it's 13-10.
We had a little conference over there on the back left corner.
Yeah, two things have really happened. Zach and Scott started to slow up the pace a little bit, as they have been throughout much of the match. And James and Yvonne started to just try to crush the ball to get this game over with. And
Yes, let's. 10-13.
It's interesting that in the second game and in this game, both James and Yvonne have played it very well. But at the end of the game, there's been a little bit of a let-up. They got away with it in the second game. They deserve to win that second game. And quite frankly, they deserve to win this game. But they have to actually put it all the way through. This is a good comeback by Zach and Scott.
They got wrong footed on that one a little bit.
11-13.
Stout was looking for something wider than that.
I just want to
And I
remind
think-
you, 12-6, Rob, 12-6, now 13-11.
11-13.
And I think Zach sort of blocked his vision a little bit on that. He didn't pick the ball up till it was past him.
Yes, let.
Ooh.
11-13.
Oh boy, that was an awfully well angled cross court.
Down. Second man, 11-14.
Good
Game
play
ball.
by Zach. But it almost snuck
Almost
over.
a great get. All right, game ball now for James and Yvonne.
That might be the
Take a
opening.
third game. That hit him?
12-14.
Yes,
sure
it
did.
did. So that's a point. 12-14. It's not over yet.
Game.
There it is.
Wow, what did he hit?
Just as I said that, he hits a return to serve
Wow.
winner. A great forehand right down the rail by Yvonne Badan. Look, Rob, I think James and Yvonne deserve to win that game, but at 12-6, I thought they might have wrested control of this match. I do not necessarily feel like that is the case now, despite the fact they won the game.
Absolutely. Although we did say that at the end of the second game, after they almost let that lead get away, and then they got out to a big enough lead in the third game to finish it off. But no, they are no longer in complete control of the play. They were about 7 or 8 points before the game ended.
Did you see it the same way I did, that Zach and Scott sort of went away from their game plan a little bit in the middle of that game, and that was when they lost a series of points?
I did, but they were also victimized by some very, very good shot making, especially by Yvonne.
Yeah.
And as I said before, I think Stout's defense, the way he's made some remarkable gets that have been at this point to some degree have frustrated Zach and Scott.
Yeah, he's been covering just an unbelievable amount of territory.
Yes. Yeah. Especially up in the front part of the court, including roaming to the front right several times. He gets over there incredibly quickly. And that's a combination of how fast he is, but also the fact that he sees the point developing and sees that there's trouble, that Yvonne's in trouble in back. He's definitely looking to do that if he has to. He extemporizes beautifully. By the way, on that last serve return,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just watch how many winners this is by Yvonne. You are
Yes.
right. I mean, this is an unbelievable number of winners we're seeing here on the highlight reel by Yvonne, and just spectacular playing really by him. I'm sorry, please finish your
I think
point.
he had 7 or 8 winners that game.
Yeah, it's
Including, of course, at 12-14.
where he hits the return of serve,
Right.
and I think that's coming up right here. Return of serve, boom, right
Bang.
into that corner.
Wow.
So, all right, well, we've got a 2-1 score here. This is the number 2 seeds are in front of the number 1 seeds. The number 1 seeds have been the one who have really strategically dominated this game. And Stout and Badan have really been in the more reactive role. But the reactive role, the counter-punching role, has actually suited them well as they have a 2-1 to lead.
And I thought they initiated the points better in that third game. I don't think that they were as much reacting as forcing some of the play themselves in the middle part of that game when they got that lead.
Particularly in the middle part there. And it seemed like that was the place where Zach and Scott went away from their lobbing strategy. And then at the end, when they brought it back, they closed the gap again. So, you said at one point in that game that Scott Arnold looked like he might have been getting a little impatient with his own strategy, his team's own strategy.
Right.
And I think that that's probably right. And I wonder if they have the patience to see this through. You know, now it would be 2 more games they would need to win to win this match.
But they're both grinders. They can certainly do that for 2 games if they have to.
There's no question that they can do that. It's more a mental thing in my mind, Rob. It's about, you know, this strategy of hitting lobs is, you know, less interesting, less engaging. I think it's fascinating strategically, but I think it's hard mentally to really keep
and
to
it's
that.
less appealing to their instincts also.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually come out slugging this game.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. All right. We have a prediction from Rob Dinnerman. That
I'm just saying that might happen.
the team in black is going to start booming the ball. Let's see if that's right or if they go right back to the lob. Here we are. Well, early on, Rob, it looks like, ooh.
Hit him.
Yeah, he hit him.
Yep.
Hit him in the racket, though, I believe. Ball will hit the racket right
Yep,
there.
yep.
Hits the racket.
No harm on that.
Level. But based on just those 3 or 4 hits of that first point, looks like they're back to the lobbing strategy. That's a nice lob.
Yep.
There's your point about Stout covering that front right. Oh, that was an error by Ivan right there. He did have this sort of channel opened up there, but unfortunately put it in the top of the tin. So I think our initial part of this has been answered here, Rob. That they're definitely still looking to lob that ball across court. I'm talking about Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold lobbing it into the back right corner.
Nice winner back there. I'm surprised that they're lobbing their serves. I'm a little surprised there's no hard serving in this match virtually at all, especially on the part of Scott.
That's a nice lob by Stout right there, too. Oh, my
Great
gosh.
play by Scott.
Stout went for the cross-court neck. It popped out, and that gave Scott Arnold a real chance to hit a little roll corner, which is what he did on his backhand side into the left wall. Really pretty stuff.
3-1.
Great,
Nice
great
get.
recovery. Wow,
That's a
great
beautiful
Side out,
volley roll
2-3.
corner.
shot. Right on the ball that was going away from him.
Now, interestingly, the crowd's awake and into this. Even though it's not the sort of slam bang squash, they're appreciating, I believe, the sort of thoughtful kind of play that this has been here.
Thank you.
So Scott kept playing, and I think Zach
3-all.
conceded the point.
Huh.
So in any case, the point has gone to Yvonne and James. And it's 3-all in the fourth game. The number 2 seeds of James Stout and Yvonne Badan, who are in the white, are up 2-1.
Nice play there.
3-4. 3-4.
Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold are in the black.
Wow, great defense again by Stout.
4-all.
He actually hit
Left
hit
side.
Scott with that ball coming right back at him after Scott absolutely pounded it.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing about James is rackets, which we've talked about, is an unbelievably fast sport. The ball travels much faster there than it does in squash doubles. And so I think in terms of pace,
Yes, lad.
he's not one to be too intimidated
4-all.
by pace.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And he's the first left wall player who Scott has not been able to drive the ball through or past. in
He
this
has had a
tournament.
couple good angles, but you're right. It's been, I mean, this is part of what you say, is that they're such a good defensive team. So,
Whoa. Zach lost
now
track
that
of
looked
that
a little
one.
casual here, too.
Yeah, it was, and they can't afford to be
5-4.
casual right now. They've lost 5 of the last 6 points.
It looks almost like they believe they have the lead. They've got to win this game or this match is over. They're down 2-1.
And down in this game.
Nice shot.
Wow.
Another one of those.
Look at that. It's just, he just sort of flicks his wrist
6-4.
out. Of
It's almost only with his fingers.
Yeah, you had said that earlier.
Yeah.
It's really like a finger cross-court drop shot. It's a beautiful shot by Yvonne. Trouble.
Got out of it, though.
Yep.
Down.
Oh. Well, that one going for a
Side out,
reverse
5-6.
from off the back wall. He has made it a couple times, but they're in position now. If they can keep the errors out.
Nice shot.
Did it again.
Yep, they did.
That's a fingertip cross-court drop shot again. This may be
5-7.
why they were lobbing and trying to keep him deep the whole time,
on.
because
First
they're
serve.
not doing that right now, and Yvonne and Stout are making them pay. So I think I've been won over to Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold's strategy. I think it's actually was a good one. I think it's very hard to keep it up for an entire match, and I think they're finding that. But we've seen just how dangerous Yvonne has been when he's been allowed to sort of hit some shots from the mid-front court.
Again.
Thank you, Yvonne, for illustrating
Wow.
my point exactly.
Wow.
I mean, that's
Side out.
He's hit that
8-5.
shot now 3 times in the
Wow.
last 5 points for winners. And they have an 8-5 lead with a 2-1 advantage in games. This would be the first time Johnson for both James and Yvonne were they to win this game.
Stroke, maybe.
Stroke.
Yep.
That's a stroke. Okay.
Hits it right back.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's a
that's a stroke.
Yeah.
For sure.
8-6.
Every day. 2-point lead. 2 games to 1 lead.
Another nick. Yvonne's had an incredible shooting streak these last 2 games, really, or a game and a half.
9-6.
And these last 6 points, he's won 5 of them on his shots. Brilliant.
Out of court.
Okay. Good tight little shallow rail.
I mean, this
Side
is
out,
right
7-9.
smack on the side wall.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, they're really shooting the lights out right now.
Well, as the pace has increased, they've just gotten incredibly
7-10.
comfortable.
Right.
As I said, in a weird way, this has convinced me that Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold's lobbing strategy was a brilliant one. They just haven't been able to see it all the way through. And that's a huge credit to Stout Badan for just being patient, waiting for their opportunities, counter-punching.
Out of court. A rare error by
8-10.
Stout. He's had very, very few errors here.
Yep, I agree.
This is really desperation time for Zach and Scott.
It is,
If they
but
lose the
we've
next point or
seen,
two, they're not going to win this game.
we've seen 2 games. The 2 games that Stout and Badan won, they got a little loose at the end of each of those games, and this game is closer now, so it's not over yet, Rob.
Great defense by Stout again.
It's a great shot
Oh,
by Yvonne Badan. Another winner by Badan.
Side out.
But that was a
11-8.
miss hit. And that's an incredibly important time for that
11-8.
to happen.
11-8, 3-point lead.
Ooh,
2
boy.
games to 1 lead. In the 2 games they won, they had big leads near the end of the game, and those leads almost dissipated. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens at the end of this 4th game.
Great play by Stout again.
Stout is covering a lot of real
Yeah.
estate here.
Yeah. Effortlessly, it seems.
And there he finally got an error from Badan.
Right.
So this is my concern, Rob, is that
11-9.
Stout and Badan
James
have
left.
had a little trouble holding on to the lead at the end of the game.
Yeah, but they're going to play the end of this game differently than the other 2, I think. I think it's going to be really tough for Scott and Zach to catch them.
2-point lead. I think the prospect of winning a championship always makes people a little bit nervous, so we'll see. That's a
Side
very
out,
casual
10-11.
tin, Rob. Very casual.
Side out. Choice. 10-11.
Huge point here.
Unbelievable.
Serve is good.
Ace on the serve.
Yep.
And we are dead even at
11
11
all.
all in the fourth game. We've been mentioning that Stout and Badan have had trouble holding on to a lead near the end of the games. We've just seen it. Can they regroup now to
Yes,
get
lad.
back
11 all.
and to close out this match? Or are we headed for a fifth game? Those are the questions that the next few points will answer.
Careful. Fooled him.
I think he fooled him.
Yeah.
He wants a let, but I don't think he's going to get it. He thought it was.
No let.
11-12.
Yep.
It's a good call. He was wrong-footed. He was looking for something.
11-12.
Absolutely. Oh, this is a big point, Rob.
Yep. Good scramble point, too.
We're seeing a bit of everything here. Huge point, critical point,
boy. What
and
unusual for him to hit a 10 there.
Side out.
Oh, boy.
13-11.
Wow, that's a huge point.
that is a very big point.
That might be
Stout and Badan now have a 2-point lead again, but let's be clear, they have had trouble putting the games away at the end. Can they do
13-11.
it now with the match coming up?
great shot.
Arnold and Alexander are not going to give it to them. 13-12.
Let's see if he hard serves. Nope.
Sticking with the strategy till the end here are Alexander and Arnold, which has been to try to get it to that back right corner. There it is again.
Whoa.
That's a great shot.
What do they call?
Yes, let.
Oh, wow.
13-12.
That surprises me.
They gave him a let?
Yes, they did.
Ooh, that was close.
All right, 13-12. Stout and Badan, 2 points from the David C. Johnson Memorial title.
They're talking it over a little bit.
And Alexander and Arnold, 3 points away from evening up this
Ooh,
match.
boy,
13-12.
oh boy, that's an awfully close call. Good call.
Slat. 13-12.
Whoa, just a let.
Yes, let.
Yeah, no stroke.
13-12.
Close though.
Close. We've had a couple close calls here.
Up there. 13-12.
13-12.
They want to let the players decide this, I think.
Again, 2 points from the title are the white team serving. 3 points from evening up at 2-all.
Hit him with the ball, I think. I think he's trying to reverse corner and caught him in
13-12.
the leg. Oh, careful. He almost got mixed up as to who was going to play it. 13-all.
There's another error. As we said, it's been a little bit tricky for Stout and Badan to close these games out. They have done it successfully in the two other games.
He may have broken a string. Looked at the racket.
Yep, something broke there, it looked like.
Wow, how inopportune is that? Because he's been making that shot this match.
2-1, 13-all.
Just gotta get it and come back.
He must not have had a racket right outside the door, which
String broke.
Oh, there he is up here. Okay.
he's actually right next to us over here in the commentator's booth right now. He's taking a swig of water, pulling out a racket from his bag, wiping himself off. This is, I think he
up,
took
guys?
the
Coming through,
opportunity
guys.
here to
Coming through,
regroup.
guys.
He's got a big point facing him when he gets back on the court.
This is really very tension-inducing time here. We've got 13-all in the fourth game. Team White, which are the number 2 seeds
Side out, 13-all.
of James Stout and Yvonne Badan, are up 2-1. They are the number 2 seeds. They're 2 points from victory. Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold, the number 1 seeds, do not want this to end in 4 games.
Here we go. Ooh.
It's a nice get by Arnold.
Yeah.
I mean by Zach Alexander. The pace has gone up here.
Yep. Okay, that'll be a stroke left there.
Slat.
Now that
13 all.
point, Zach and Scott did not keep to their get the ball high and deep into the back corner, which has allowed them to close the gap here. They were down in this game all the way. There it is. Now Zach is back trying to do that.
Tight little reverse. Great play by Scott. Wow. Oh.
Badan looked like he thought something was over there in the middle of the point.
Ooh. Let.
Slat.
Yeah, good call.
Pickups,
Whoa,
pickups are
That's
good.
a let.
Yes, slat. 13-all.
Yeah.
Yvonne did appeal whatever it was up front that he didn't think, but I thought I saw all balls clean there.
Absolutely,
as
everything
did
was up.
the
Absolutely.
as did the referees. So we're still at 13 all.
Stout with a
Wonderful
backhand
shot
straight
by
drop. Oh boy, if it
James
wasn't
Stout.
a
Beautiful shot. Stretched
13-14,
out, backhand
match
drop
ball.
shot to the front right corner. This is double match ball now.
Yes, Len.
no lobbing this time. Everybody's swinging away.
Yeah, there's
13-14.
the lobbing strategy is gone right now. We are at who can hit it harder.
Including even on the serve.
Whoa, that's going to be trouble.
Great cover by
Nice
Stout.
coverage. Great recovery.
Get match.
And a winner by Stout.
Oh.
Getting an unbelievable shot at the end. So our number 2 seeds, James Stout and Yvonne Badan, have done it. They have pulled the upset, and they have won 3 games to 1. They've held on at the end, just as they did in the 2 other games they won. They had to hold on, and they did. They win 7-15, 15-12, 15-12, 15-13. Terrific match. And Rob, you know, I was about to say that Yvonne Badan really had to hang in there, but God, James Stout covered so much court. This was really a team effort by both of these guys.
Absolutely, and Stout provided the winners at the end from 13-all. He hit a drop shot winner, and then he hit that last shot. Both on his backhand, incidentally.
Yeah, I mean, just tremendously exciting finish. Really a fascinating match of sort of contrasting strategies, where Zach Alexander and Scott Arnold had a very interesting strategy, just lob into the back right corner, and it looked like it was going to suit them well, but the counter-punching ability of James Stout and Yvonne Badan, who are the 2020 David C. Johnson Memorial champions, just was superlative.
That was great endings of the 4th game, really. Just a tremendous level of play. And Stout made some incredible defensive plays to keep the points going, including the last point early in that point.
Yep.
And then hits just a shallow backhand, narrow cross court that just bounces in front of Zach. I think Zach was looking for something deeper on that.
And let's not forget that at 13-all in the 4th game, Yvonne Badan broke his string and had to come off the court. But that may have provided a little bit of the regrouping that they needed just to close this match out.
Right.
They did close out, so I don't want to. They had trouble closing out games 2 and 3, but they did close them out.
Right.
They had a little trouble closing out game 4,
For sure.
but they did close it out.
Absolutely.
And so, it's one thing to have a little trouble as long as you do it.
Right.
And they did it, and they are the champions.
Deservedly so. This was a beautifully played match, really all the way through.
It was, and lots of all-court squash, and I think, at first I'm not sure that the Heights Casino fans knew what to make of sort of this lots of lobbing, but I think by the end they figured out what was going on and were really drawn into it.
That's true, but I think they were very happy when the last couple of points were slug them out.
We're slug them out.
Yes.
Yeah, really. So this is, we're going to have the awards ceremony in just a few minutes here, and we will show that to you. But this is perhaps a good time to say some thank yous throughout this week. So first of all, I'd like to thank you, Rob, for being co-commentator through much of this tournament. You did more matches as my color commentator than anybody else, and appreciate it very much. Your insights and your knowledge of the game were very much appreciated.
I've enjoyed every moment of it. This has been great working with you, and it's been great watching such amazing squash all the way through the weekend.
And along with that, let us also say thank you to Steve Lowe, who's our producer. He's the one who's been doing all the replays. He's kept the scores updated on the screen. He's made us sound good, and look good. So we appreciate Steve Lowe. We need a producer here. To be honest, Rob and I would have no idea what the heck to do. So thank you, Steve. And along with that, we both also need to give a thanks to Graham Bassett, who's, of course, the SDA Tour Director and is the one who actually brought us both on to do this. So we would not even be here were it not for that. We also would like to thank the staff of the Heights Casino, in particular Christian Petrina, who is the general manager, and we'd like to acknowledge Whitman Morris, who we're going to see on the court in a second, as the squash chairperson. He will be part of the awards ceremony as well. I also would like to thank Jeff Osborne, whose voice you've heard as being a referee, but he did a number of the matches with me early on in the tournament and was a great co-announcer as well. From Australia, he took a 15-year break from the SDA Tour, and I think we all really are excited to have him back here. And we also would like to thank Adam Buse, who is the doubles and adult pro at the Heights Casino. He played in this tournament, and now we're about to get to the award ceremony here. That's Adam Buse, who's standing there on the far right of your screen. He's the pro here. Whitman Morris has his hands in his pockets with the khaki.
Thank you all for coming.
And let's listen to Adam.
I think you'll agree it was a fantastic final. So let's get a huge round of applause for these guys. Zach in his second final, and James in his second final in 2 years, and this time James managed to get the title, but a really well done to these guys for a fantastic match. We've got to present Zach and Scott. Please. Tough one, buddy. There you go, man. Yeah, don't drop it. Good, buddy. And huge round of applause for this year's champions, Swiss and James. Hey, buddy. Good. I won't shake your hand. Hey, buddy. It's too heavy to shake hands. Swiss can't hold it. Thank you all for coming to watch. Thank you to I'm going to say thank you to all of the staff that put in a huge effort this week. Danny and all the food and beverage, John for all the food and all the catering they did this whole week, and a huge thank you to Jason and all the guys in maintenance that kept this place looking spotless, kept the court in great condition. So a huge thanks to them. Another big thanks to Witten, the squash committee, who helped put everything together, and then firstly thanks to them. Let's applause that. Thank you to Will Carlin and Osborne, Rob Dinnerman, Graham Bassett, Steve up there, everybody that came in and set up a fantastic stream, and it added something really different to this event, and I think something we will definitely continue in the future. So a huge thank you to them.
And then just a little bit of thanks to all the fans here. I've played in this a number of years. I've been a fan for a number of years, and I know from a player perspective, it's one of the favorite tournaments on the tour, and I think it's really because of all the fans here, and they're so engaged. So thanks for all of you for your support in this year in, year out. And now, lastly, True Green, thanks for your support. Also, we had two great sponsors, Sherry Lehman. Thank you very much. And this company up here, Happy Fun Corp, which we're happy to tell you more about if you like, with shippers right there in the second row. Thanks, everyone.
I'm still trying to catch my breath. these guys were beating on me so badly. First thing, I have to thank my partner, James. Unbelievable. I literally said when it was 13-0, I said, you got to win 2 points, take me to the promised land. I was so tired. So thank you, James. It's always so fun to be on court with you. Congratulations, Zach and Scott. I told them right now, I wasn't sure if they're trying to beat me or kill me. They were really like, I couldn't. Yeah, but fantastic champion. I'm sure you guys can feel the energy on the court. We all enjoy being on court together, and hopefully you guys can feel it up there. If you indulge me with 2 more things. One, this is my first Johnson title. Like Whit said, to me it's so meaningful because of the people that are here, truly special. Obviously, you guys have the longest history holding the tournament, but really it's a passionate group, and to have a chance to have my name on the board and to be part of all of you guys, it truly means the world to me. So thank you. And of course, I have to thank my beautiful wife, Cynthia. And all of my friends who came down to support me, Tim, Kevin, Brooke, Tom, I don't know where you are, I don't know if you're still around, Patrick, and I know there's a lot of people at Country Club New Canaan that are watching, that are supporting. Thank you very much.
Just one more thank you, Adam Buse. This is a massive undertaking, and I know you guys have an incredible committee here that make this tournament run so smoothly. I mean, it's incredible. We come here, there's fans in the stands every single match. You guys just make us feel really welcome, and we look forward to coming back again next year. So thank you.
All right, I think that is the wrap up there. So some nice words. I think the two champions talked about how much this tournament means to them, and to get their name up on the wall, some very nice words were said. And I think this is a big title.
It's really the as big a title practically as there is all season, and it's an incredibly inspiring environment to play in, with a crowd that's filling that gallery from the first round of the qualifying, all the way through, and was a huge crowd watching the Pro-Am final before the Pro final.
That's right, exactly. Well, the Pro-Am's a big part of this as well.
Right.
So that wraps up our 2020 David C. Johnson Memorial streaming coverage. We have some great champions and some great finalists. It was the number 2 seeds overcoming the number 1 seeds in the actual finals. So we've got James Stout and Yvonne Badan, who are the champions, over one of last year's champions, Zach Alexander, and Scott Arnold. A very entertaining 4-game match. Rob, thank you very much for being here. And I'd just like to sign off. This is Will Carlin signing off for Rob Dinnerman and for the SDA Tour. We'll see you next time. Thank you all for watching. Good night.